So the Game Awards, the nominees are coming out on Monday. I'll probably do one video that's like my Game Awards, but right now the nominees are coming tomorrow. Basically, this is the Game Awards. They posted this on this morning. Nominees are coming for the Game Awards tomorrow. And I am curious, who do you think deserves to be nominated and who do you think will be nominated? I think Black Myth Wukong absolutely deserves to be nominated, and I think Black Myth Wukong should be a frontrunner. And I think another one in that vein is Metaphor ReFantazio. So if there are two games that Destin could pick, I would say Metaphor ReFantazio and Black Myth Wukong should be on the nominated list, minimum. I've heard a lot of people say that Astrobot should be nominated. I agree on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Even though I've played this much of the game, I'm like, graphically, it's great. The gameplay is really interesting and fun. I know the story is great. It is a remake. And then I've heard some sort of contentious options like Silent Hill 2. A lot of people have talked about Silent Hill 2 potentially being in the running. Balatro. Balatro is a good call too. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree. So is also in the running because they came out with some clarification about who is eligible. The Game Awards, expansion packs, new game seasons, DLC remakes, and remasters are eligible in all categories if the jury deems the new creative and technical work to be worthy of a nomination. And here's what it specifically says if you go to the fact page. Are DLCs, expansion packs, and remakes, remasters eligible? The Game Awards aims to recognize the best creative and technical works each year, irrespective of the format of that content's release. Expansion packs, new game seasons, DLC remakes, and remasters are eligible in all categories if the jury deems the new creative and technical work to be worthy of a nomination. Factors such as the newness of the content and its price/value should be taken into consideration. Should something like Silent Hill 2 remake be considered? I think that's the conversation, but more so, I think it brings Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree to the forefront of the conversation because so many people are just thinking, well, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree is just going to win. I don't think so. Here's who I think the nominees will be. Shadow of the Erd Tree, Metaphor ReFantazio, Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think Astrobot's going to be on that list. Did I say Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? And I think Black Myth should be on it. I think Black Myth's going to get robbed. I think Erd Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, or Metaphor ReFantazio are the top three frontrunners. And if I could put it on there, I would put Black Myth Wukong on there. Why wouldn't Black Myth be nominated? I think if you look at the review scores for Black Myth Wukong, it was like a 7 or an 8 across the board in the industry. And when you look at who is doing the nominations, it's the people who gave the game a 7 or an 8. You're putting it up against games that they gave 9s and 10s to. So if you think about it logically, are you going to nominate a game that you gave a 9 or a 10 to, or are you going to nominate a game that had a lot of problems with it at launch? Well, like obviously a lot of people had issues. Mitchell, who reviewed it for IGN, was falling through the earth. Oh, Space Marines 2. I would be so freaking happy. Marius, good call. I would be so freaking happy if Space Marine 2 was on the nominee list. I would be stoked. I think Space Marine 2 was really, really good. This guy Moriarty said that Jeff Keighley is trying to trademark Game Awards. No, that's hugely problematic. That's like trying to trademark Reacts. No, that would be really bad. If that's actually what he's trying to do and make it so that nobody else can use that terminology, then that's a problem. Facts and rules. The FAQ is designed to answer any common questions about the Game Awards, rules, and the voting process. Overview. The event. When is the Game Awards? It is December 12th. How can I watch the show? It's streamed online. Can I co-stream? Yes, we welcome and encourage co-streaming. Sign up here. What can I expect at the show? The Game Awards will celebrate video games with awards, world premieres, musical performances, and more. And it will be 2 hours too long. Can I attend the Game Awards in person? Yes, a number of public tickets are available. The award process. How are nominees selected? Nominees for most categories of the Game Awards are chosen by an international jury of 100, whatever they said. Okay. What? Where's the... Did I click the wrong thing? Well, let's keep reading. Specialized juries also convene for other categories, including esports, accessibility, and best adaptation. Okay, that makes sense. Each voting outlet completes a confidential, unranked ballot based on the collective and diverse opinion of its entire editorial staff, listing out its top 5 choices in each category. Ballots are tabulated, and 5 games that appear on the most ballots are put forth as nominees. In the event of a tie, 6 or more, nominees will be announced in a category. Game Awards producer Jeff Keighley is not a member of the jury and does not vote on nominees or winners. Similarly, the Game Awards Advisory Board has no involvement in the award process and learns of the results at the same time as the general public. Okay. I think they pulled this down. Yeah, they pulled down the people who vote. Let me use way back. Did I miss something? Did Jeff say why they pulled the voting jury? I mean, IGN's on it. I know that. So here's what it was. Here's what was listed in September. Here's what was listed in September according to the Wayback Machine, right? So we have Digital Trends, Easy Allies, Entertainment Weekly. Game Informer doesn't exist anymore. GamerRanks, great. Gamertag, GameSpot, Giant Bomb, IGN, Inverse, Jeff Gertzman, Kind of Funny, LA Times, MinMax, PC Gamer, Polygon, VentureBeat, The Verge. Never heard of Touch Arcade. What's Good Games doesn't exist anymore. Game Rant, NPR, Pride.com, Variety, and Wired. So I think they need to update the site. I have seen this talked about a little bit online. My hot take on the whole situation is I think there is a potential that they need to update who gets to vote. Not only because 2 of the people listed as voting as having voting power do not exist anymore, but I do think that there are new voices out there that aren't being accounted for in the space. There are massive gaming personalities and voices that just aren't considered. And like, I don't know if this is going to be a popular take, but like Angry Joe, he has a huge brand that covers gaming. I know him and Jeff had beef like years ago. Chat, who's somebody else that should potentially be considered as being on the panel? Digital Foundry. Digital Foundry would be great. Yeah, Skill Up, Luke Stevens, Colin Moriarty, Last Stand Media. I think there's mega voices that are not on this list who should have also be included in the nominee process. I think they should have people in like Legendary Drops and Asmongold, Donkey, Jack Frags. Yeah, there's a ton of people not on this list that have huge voices. Kind of Funny was fairly new when they were added. And I'm not saying that any of the other people should be knocked off. Like if their business, like if Game Informer doesn't exist anymore, yeah, obviously they need to be knocked off. Like there's probably people in the UK that aren't being considered. I think it should be expanded rather than contracted. And that's my hot take on it. Why do you use this jury for select nominees? Given the sheer number of games released each year, as well as the extended time required to fully evaluate products, a voting outlet approach always allows for the widest possible critical assessment. A ballot submitted to the Game Awards represents the collective opinion of an entire outlet. How are winners selected? Winners are determined by a blended vote between the voting jury 90% and public fan voting 10%. Fans can vote for their favorite games on thegameawards.com. In China, fans can vote on the winners via Bilibili. Fan voting closes on Wednesday, December 11th at 6 a.m. Why don't fans 100% select the winners? Creating a 100% fan vote presents several challenges. First, given that some gamers are exclusive to one platform, a public vote puts single platform games at an inherent disadvantage over multi-platform titles. In addition, it is important that winners cannot be socially engineered in any way. We find that a blended vote is the most credible and authentic way to select winners. Yeah, I kind of understand that. We have seen when you just let the fans vote on whatever, there can be wild sways, and they figured out a way to manipulate the voting process or something like that. But there's a lot of conversation about chat and how it should change. Yeah, so I do think this is an important conversation to have. And I think Jeff Keighley is pretty open to feedback and refinement to the process. So I would say, I think that it does need a look at the people who are on the committee. I think there are people out there like Asmongold came up as one of the names, right? 40,000 people watch that guy every day. 40,000 every single day. He doesn't get a say though. And he plays games at the end of like almost every one of his streams. Now I know he's a controversial figure. I know a lot of people don't like Asmongold, but he doesn't get to vote in the Game of the Year process because he's an individual. Like, what's the reasoning? I don't think individual YouTubers should vote. It's definitely something that should be evaluated though, right? So if not, like, okay, so takes out any individual creator, but like, what about somebody like SkillUp? What about somebody who has a large audience that is comprised of a group of gamers? Angry Joe fits that mold. SkillUp fits that mold. Just because you get views doesn't mean you're good at reviewing. I think SkillUp is one of the best reviewers online. I say that. And I think the GameRanks, Jake Baldino, I think Jake Baldino is doing killer work over there at GameRanks. Anyway, a lot of controversy here about the Game Awards. I'm still excited about the event. I think his events are, my big criticism for Jeff Keighley's events are like, his events are way too long. Way too long. Are voting outlets given free or advanced copies of games? I mean, yes. What is the cutoff date for eligibility? November 22nd. Why? So should XQC vote because of 10 million Twitch followers? XQC isn't like, he doesn't game a lot. Doesn't XQC mostly do like reacts, content, and conversations? I don't know how to fix it though. Like, does it need fixing? I do think there are some things that should be tweaked. What is the cutoff date for eligibility? November 22nd. I think it should be December 31st. How are live service games handled? The Game Awards recognizes that many games are ongoing services that evolve over time with new content, features, and improvements. Games released in previous years are eligible in all award categories so long as the jury feels their inclusion is merited due to new content, improvements, or service updates. Are early access games eligible for nomination? Yes. Any game available for public consumption by the deadline is eligible for potential nomination. There was a contentious video that was released where they said you shouldn't review a game in early access. If you charge $60 for a game and say it's in early access, I think that your game should be reviewed. So you're telling me it can be considered for Game of the Year, but I can't review it? I think it should be considered for Game of the Year. That's fine. And I think it should also be reviewable. If you are charging money to a customer, your product should be able to be evaluated because you're trying to charge money for it. How do I submit a game for consideration? There is no formal submission process for the Game Awards. Qualified developers and publishers can contact the Game Awards to receive a list of voting outlets. My only criticism about the whole thing is I think whoever is voting, I think that list should be reevaluated this year. I think they pulled it down because I saw a screenshot on Twitter where they had a list of all the people. And the problem is a lot has changed in the last year. Game Informer doesn't exist anymore. What's Good Games doesn't exist anymore. They had their last show. So they're no longer in consideration for that. And I think they should be considering somebody like SkillUp. I'm glad to see MinMax on there, honestly, an independent outlet. And I think we are going more towards that idea of individual people having a voice. Is there an entry fee? The Game Awards strongly believe that no game developer or publisher should have to pay to have a game considered for nomination. There are no entry requirements. Do show sponsors or advisory board members have an increased chance of nomination? No, there is no connection. I think we all knew that. Are game companies made aware of nominees/winners in advance? No, game developers and publishers, including the advisory board, find out the nominees and winners at the same time as the public. The Game Awards does not disclose winners in advance of the live ceremony. That's great. There are no exceptions to this rule. Are DLCs, expansion packs, and remix/remasters eligible? The Game Awards aims to recognize the best creative. We talked about this already. Long story short, yes. So Jeff Keighley gets criticized all the time. When the layoffs were happening, he was criticized because he wasn't like hard enough on Microsoft for doing layoffs. And then they happen with Sony and they're like, why aren't you being hard enough on Sony? Like, the guy can't get a break, right? I will say this, doing any sort of massive award show process should absolutely be scrutinized by the general public. And I think it's totally warranted to do that. I think the idea of him registering the term Game Awards, absolute nonsense and shouldn't be a thing. And I think it's a bad look, right? It's not a good look to be registering Game Awards. That means nobody else can do Game Awards, like you could sue them. No. Just like Reacts can't be registered, I hope Game Awards isn't registered in Keeley's name. Updating it, obviously. You got Edge, NME, PC Games, Eurogamer, VG, Argentina, Australia. Oh, SkillUp is on there. SkillUp is one of the people doing it. So my whole argument about SkillUp not doing it's moot. He's right there. It's Poland, Singapore. Glitched is out of Singapore? I don't know that. Oh, South Africa is glitched. Yeah, this list is huge. Wow. Okay, and it just keeps going and going and going. So there's a lot of people out there looking at this list. So I do think that obviously they need to look at the list and consider adding some more people who can vote. But SkillUp is on there, so I feel super stupid now. So like I said, Jeff Keighley, everybody has a laser eye on him because he is one of the biggest voices in the industry who gets to talk about this regularly. And he's being scrutinized by every single gamer out there. Every word he says, how he says it, how he presents games, how he presents the Game Awards, etc. It's all constantly being evaluated by gamers. And I think it's warranted. And I do think that he works constantly to address as much of the feedback as he can. I like Jeff a lot. I don't agree with everything he does, but that's when you're the biggest one, everyone's going to look at you and just be like, oh, I don't like how you said that. People do it to me. And I'm like, not that big of an entertainer. Like if you compare me to some of the other entertainers out there, I'm not like huge, but people clip me out of context all the time and post me on Twitter and get mad about what I'm saying. And who am I? I'm just Destin. Hey, if you like this video, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so all my content goes live. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to the members for supporting this video and other content on my channel. Can't do it without you, so thank you so much for supporting. Click that join button. It is right over there on the corner. I'm going to get out of here. Check out my last video where I talked about some cool stuff over here, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.